Listen to me closely. This is not another year for excuses. This is not another year for waiting, hoping, or wishing somebody would come save you. This is the year you finally realize the truth you've been running from. Everything you've been asking for is already inside you. You don't lack talent. You don't lack opportunity. You don't lack potential. What you've been lacking is belief in yourself. And today that stops. You've spent too much time guessing your gifts. Too much time comparing your life to people who started at a different place, with different advantages and a different assignment. You weren't created to copy someone else's journey. You were created to dominate your own lane. And the moment you stop doubting yourself is the moment life starts responding to you differently. Let me tell you something powerful. Doubt is expensive. It costs you years. It costs you peace. It costs you opportunities that only knock once. Every time you say, "I'm not ready," fear smiles. Every time you say, "maybe later," your dream takes a step back. But every time you say, "I'm going anyway," the universe pays attention. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline. You don't need another sign. You need a decision. Winners don't wait until they feel confident. They move and confidence catches up. They don't wait until it's easy. They move and strength shows up. You become who you're supposed to be after you step out, not before. You've been praying for growth, but growth requires pressure. You've been asking for elevation, but elevation demands responsibility. You can't ask for a bigger life and keep showing up with a small mindset. If you want 2026 to be different, then you have to be different. Different habits, different standards, different conversations. Different circle. Stop rehearsing your failures and start rehearsing your future. Stop reminding yourself of what went wrong and start declaring what's coming next. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to become after it. Pain didn't come to destroy you. It came to introduce you to your strength. Some days you won't feel like it. Go anyway. Some days nobody will clap for you. Go anyway. Some days fear will be loud. Go anyway. Because consistency beats talent when talent quits. And the people who win are the ones who kept showing up when quitting felt justified. This is your season to stop shrinking. Stop playing small to make others comfortable. Stop hiding your light because someone else is insecure. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out, to rise, to lead, to win. So here's the call to action. Decide today. Decide that 2026 will not be another chapter of regret. Decide that self-doubt no longer gets a vote. Decide to act on your vision, to commit to your grind, and to show up every single day like your future depends on it. Because it does. Walk out of here ready to work, ready to believe, and ready to win. The time is now. The moment is yours. Go claim it. Self-doubt is the quiet enemy that sabotages more dreams than failure ever could. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers. It tells you to wait a little longer, to play it safe, to not aim too high. It convinces you that you need more time, more resources, more approval before you begin. And while you're listening to that voice, opportunities pass by, seasons change, and years disappear. The truth is, most people are not stuck because they are incapable. They are stuck because they don't believe they are capable. The moment doubt enters your thinking, it shrinks your actions, and when your actions get smaller, so does your life. You are never meant to live cautiously with your gifts. Every talent placed inside you was given with the expectation that you would use it boldly. But self-doubt causes you to question what you already know, to hesitate when you should move, and to overthink what should be instinctive. It makes you compare your beginning to someone else's middle and convinces you that you are behind, when in reality you are simply on a different path. Doubt distorts perspective. It magnifies your flaws and minimizes your strengths until you forget what you are actually capable of achieving. What makes Doubt so dangerous is that it feels responsible. It disguises itself as realism, humility, or caution. It tells you that you're being practical, that you're protecting yourself from disappointment. But in truth, it's robbing you of growth. Every time you doubt yourself, you teach your mind to retreat instead of advance. Over time, that retreat becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a lifestyle. You stop taking risks, stop stretching, stop expecting more from yourself, and eventually you settle for a version of life that is far below your potential. Self-doubt also disconnects you from your purpose. When you don't trust yourself, you hesitate to trust the vision placed in your heart. You start seeking validation from people who were never meant to understand your assignment. You wait for permission that will never come. And the longer you wait, the more confident everyone else appears, not because they are better than you, but because they decided to move forward despite their fear. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to act in spite of it. The cost of doubting yourself is always higher than the cost of trying. Regret lasts longer than failure. Failure teaches, sharpens, and prepares you, but doubt only delays. Every time you choose doubt, you postpone becoming who you were meant to be. Every time you silence doubt and take action, you strengthen your belief, your courage, and your identity. Belief grows through movement. The more you show up, the more your mind begins to accept that you are capable, resilient, and worthy of success. When self-doubt loses its grip, everything changes. You move differently, speak differently, and expect differently. You stop asking if you can and start deciding that you will. Life responds to certainty. Opportunities align with clarity. Momentum follows commitment. The power you've been searching for outside has been waiting on your permission from within. Most people don't fail because they choose the wrong path. They fail because they never choose at all. They live in the space between intention and action, telling themselves they'll start when the timing feels right. But the truth is, the timing never feels right. Waiting has a way of disguising itself as preparation, but in reality, it's often just fear wearing a responsible mask. Every great shift in life begins with a decision, not a perfect plan. Progress doesn't reward hesitation, it responds to commitment. Excuses are comfortable because they protect the ego. They allow you to explain why you didn't try instead of facing the risk of finding out what you're capable of. It's easier to blame circumstances, people, or the past than to take ownership of the present. But excuses slowly erode self-respect. Each one reinforces the idea that you are powerless, that life is happening to you instead of being shaped by you. Over time, excuses become habits, and habits become identity. You don't just make excuses anymore. You start believing them. Decisions, on the other hand, create momentum. The moment you decide, energy shifts. Your focus sharpens, your actions align, you stop negotiating with yourself and start moving with intention. A decision draws a line between who you were and who you are becoming. It says that comfort is no longer your priority and that growth is worth the discomfort. That kind of clarity is rare, and that's why it's powerful. This year demands ownership. You can't carry the same mindset, the same routines, and the same tolerance for mediocrity and expect different results. Every excuse you keep is a weight slowing you down. Every decision you make is a step forward. Discipline begins where motivation ends. Motivation comes and goes, but decisions stay. When you decide to show up daily, even when you're tired or uncertain, you remove emotion from the equation and replace it with consistency. Winning doesn't come from wishing harder, it comes from choosing better. Choosing to wake up earlier. Choosing to put in the work when no one is watching. Choosing to walk away from distractions that steal your focus. Choosing standards over convenience. These choices may feel small in the moment, but compounded over time, they completely change the direction of your life. The life you want is built in ordinary moments where you decide not to quit, not to delay, not to settle. A decision also requires sacrifice. You can't move forward while holding on to everything that makes you comfortable. Growth demands that something old be released so something new can take its place. That might be old habits, old environments, or old beliefs about yourself. The moment you decide to let go, space is created for progress. The future doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to action backed by commitment. When you stop making excuses, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself authority. You realize that no one is coming to rescue you, and instead of feeling defeated, you feel free. Free to choose, free to act, free to build. The shift happens when you stop asking what if and start declaring what now. Many people say they want to grow, but very few are willing to endure what growth requires. Growth is not gentle. It stretches you, presses you, and forces you into unfamiliar territory. Pressure is not a sign that something is wrong. It is evidence that something is forming. Just like strength is built by resistance, personal expansion is created through challenge. When life starts demanding more from you, it's not trying to break you, it's trying to reveal you. Elevation always comes with responsibility. You can't rise to a higher level of life and keep operating with lower standards. New levels require new thinking, new discipline, and new accountability. Pressure increases because capacity must increase. If everything stayed easy, you would never develop the resilience, wisdom, or confidence needed to sustain success. Comfort produces stagnation, but pressure produces progress. Most people run from pressure because it exposes their weaknesses, but exposure is not humiliation, it's preparation. Pressure reveals where you need to grow, what needs to be strengthened, and what must be corrected. Instead of resisting it, the moment you embrace pressure, you begin to mature. You stop asking why this is happening to me and start asking what this is developing in me. That shift changes everything. Responsibility is the price of expansion. When your influence grows, your discipline must grow with it. When your opportunities increase, your character must be able to support them. Many people want the rewards of success without the weight of responsibility, but the two are inseparable. Responsibility demands consistency when motivation fades. It requires showing up when nobody is watching and doing the right thing, even when it's inconvenient. Pressure also teaches you how to prioritize. When everything is easy, distractions thrive. When pressure increases, clarity sharpens. You quickly learn what matters and what doesn't. You stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. You become more intentional with your energy, your relationships, and your goals. Pressure forces focus, and focus creates results. The truth is, growth without pressure is an illusion. Every breakthrough you admire came through a season of strain. Every strong person you respect was forged in moments of uncertainty. The discomfort you feel today is shaping the confidence you'll walk in tomorrow. If you quit when it gets heavy, you miss the transformation that only pressure can produce. Responsibility also means owning your choices. You stop blaming circumstances and start managing your responses. You realize that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you show up. That level of ownership builds inner strength. It turns obstacles into lessons and setbacks into training grounds. When you accept pressure instead of fighting it, you grow into the person your next level requires. You develop endurance, patience, and emotional control. You stop asking for easier situations and start becoming stronger. The weight that once felt overwhelming becomes manageable as your capacity expands. Pressure doesn't disappear. You just become equipped to carry it. Most people believe confidence is something you're supposed to have before you begin, but that belief keeps them standing still. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is a byproduct of action. Waiting to feel ready is one of the most common ways people delay their destiny. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. The people who make progress are not the ones without fear. They are the ones who refuse to let fear dictate their movement. Action challenges doubt in a way thinking never can. You can sit and overanalyze every possible outcome, and your confidence will shrink with every scenario you imagine. But the moment you take a step forward, uncertainty begins to lose its power. Movement interrupts fear. Each small action proves to your mind that you are capable of handling what comes next. Confidence doesn't arrive all at once. It builds through repeated evidence that you can survive discomfort and still move forward. Fear often feels like a warning, but most of the time it's just unfamiliarity. Your mind is wired to protect you from the unknown, not to guide you toward growth. When you try something new, fear shows up because your comfort zone is being challenged. If you obey that fear, your world stays small. If you move anyway, your mind adapts, and what once felt impossible becomes normal. That's how confidence is formed, not through reassurance, but through experience. Taking action also changes your identity. When you repeatedly show up despite hesitation, you stop seeing yourself as someone who waits and start seeing yourself as someone who acts. Identity drives behavior, and behavior reinforces identity. Each time you do the thing you were afraid to do, you rewrite the story you tell yourself about who you are. That internal shift is more powerful than any external motivation. Confidence is built in the process, not at the starting line. You gain it by trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Failure doesn't destroy confidence, quitting does. Every attempt strengthens your resilience and teaches you that setbacks are survivable. The more you experience recovery, the less intimidating challenges become. Confidence grows not because you always succeed, but because you learn you can handle the consequences of trying. Action also creates momentum, and momentum fuels belief. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep going. Progress, no matter how small, reinforces the idea that effort leads somewhere. That belief is addictive. You begin to trust yourself because you've seen yourself follow through. Trust is the foundation of confidence, and trust is earned through consistency. When you stop waiting for confidence and start acting with courage, fear loses its authority. You realize that confidence was never missing. It was waiting for proof. Every step you take provides that proof. The path doesn't become clear before you move. It reveals itself as you walk. Your future will never outgrow the way you think. Long before results show up in your life, they take shape in your mind. The size of your vision determines the size of your effort, and the quality of your effort determines the direction of your outcomes. If your mindset is limited, your actions will be cautious. If your thinking is small, your goals will stay small. Life rarely rises above the expectations you place on yourself. Many people unknowingly sabotage their own progress by clinging to familiar thought patterns. They tell themselves they're being realistic, when in truth they are being restricted by past experiences. A limited mindset constantly reminds you of what went wrong instead of what's possible. It convinces you to aim just high enough to avoid disappointment, but never high enough to transform your life. When your mind is conditioned to settle, mediocrity starts to feel safe. A bigger future requires higher standards. You cannot demand excellence from life while tolerating inconsistency from yourself. Standards shape behavior. What you accept becomes what you experience repeatedly. When you raise your standards, your daily choices change. You become more intentional with your time, more selective with your environment, and more disciplined in your routines. Growth begins the moment you stop negotiating with your potential. Your mindset also influences who you allow around you. A small mindset seeks comfort, validation, and familiarity. A growth-oriented mindset seeks challenge, accountability, and elevation. The people you listen to, the conversations you engage in, and the content you consume either expand your thinking or reinforce your limitations. If your environment does not support your vision, it will slowly drain your motivation. You don't rise by accident, you rise by design. Habits are the physical expression of mindset. What you consistently do is a reflection of what you consistently believe. If you believe progress is optional, your habits will reflect inconsistency. If you believe your future matters, your habits will align with preparation. Small daily actions compound into massive results over time. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is often hidden in the routines you repeat without thinking. Mindset also shapes how you respond to setbacks. With a limited perspective, obstacles feel personal and final. With an expanded mindset, obstacles become feedback. You stop seeing challenges as proof you can't and start seeing them as lessons on how to improve. Resilience is not about avoiding failure. It's about interpreting failure correctly. When your thinking evolves, your endurance increases. Changing your mindset is not a one-time event. It's a daily discipline. You must challenge negative thoughts, question limiting beliefs, and consciously choose perspectives that empower you. This mental work is invisible, but its impact is undeniable. Every breakthrough begins as a shift in thinking long before it shows up in reality. The life you desire demands that you think bigger than your current circumstances and act in alignment with that belief. Consistency is the quiet force that separates those who talk about success from those who live it. Talent can open doors, but consistency is what keeps them open. Many people start strong, fueled by excitement and motivation, but very few sustain effort once the initial energy fades. The truth is, motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, environment, and circumstances. Consistency, however, is a decision that operates independently of how you feel. Most people underestimate the power of small actions repeated daily. They look for breakthroughs, not realizing that breakthroughs are usually the result of accumulated effort. A single workout doesn't change your body, a single focused day doesn't change your career, and a single disciplined choice doesn't change your life. But when those actions are repeated consistently, they compound into transformation. Success is rarely dramatic. It is methodical, built quietly over time by people who refuse to quit. Persistence becomes critical when progress is slow. There will be seasons when your effort seems invisible, when results don't match your energy, and when quitting feels reasonable. This is where most people stop. They mistake lack of immediate results for failure and walk away just before momentum builds. But consistency works beneath the surface long before it shows outward signs. Roots grow before fruit appears. The people who win are the ones who understand this and stay committed even when nothing seems to be happening. Consistency also builds discipline, and discipline creates freedom. When you repeatedly show up regardless of emotion, you train your mind to follow through. Over time, effort becomes automatic. You no longer rely on willpower because your habits carry you forward. This removes decision fatigue and keeps you moving even on difficult days. Discipline may feel restrictive at first, but it eventually creates control over your time, energy, and direction. Quitting resets progress. Every time you stop and start, you lose momentum and confidence. Persistence, on the other hand, builds trust with yourself. When you prove that you will not abandon your goals at the first sign of difficulty, your belief strengthens. That self-trust becomes a powerful fuel. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes what they start, and that identity reinforces further consistency. Consistency also sharpens skill. Repetition refines ability. The more you practice, the more efficient and effective you become. What once required effort begins to feel natural. Mastery is not achieved through intensity alone, but through sustained repetition. Those who persist outwork those who rely solely on talent, because skill compounds just like effort. Success is not reserved for the most gifted, but for the most committed. When others quit, consistency keeps you moving forward. When others get distracted, persistence keeps you focused. Over time, this quiet dedication creates separation, not because you are better, but because you stayed.